Good morning, my friend. I hope you are doing well. It's going to be a great day. I'm just excited about this day that the Lord has made. I get to be in the office and have an opportunity to meet some new people and take care of patients and, maybe help people figure out what's been hurting them and get to see some people that we've operated on recently and see how they feel. And it's a great blessing to get to work in healthcare. And I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing today, that no matter what you're going through, no matter how hard it might be or the pain that you might be feeling or whatever you're worried about, whatever you're concerned about, I hope that you'll be able to just take a breath and remember that you're exactly in the place and time that God knew beforehand and intended for you to be in. That's hard when you're dealing with something difficult. It's hard to believe that. But it comes out to be true, and it's actually quite comforting when you realize that what you're going through is something that God has a firm grip on. Okay, Paul said, Acts 17, starting in verse 26, here's what Paul said. From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. Here's the thing, friend. No matter what you're going through and no matter where you are or what you're doing today, the purpose of it, the reason for it, ultimately, is it so you would seek him and perhaps reach out and find him. Where you are, how dark it is, how hard it is, how fun it is, whatever it is that you're going through in your life, God has you in that spot, and he is there with you. You're not there alone. You're not going through it alone. I just read a book by Louis Giglio that a listener recommended, actually. Judy Sharp said, hey, you got to read this book, Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table, and it's about the 23rd Psalm. And he makes a point, we're gonna talk about that book a lot more later, but he makes a point that over and over and over in the Bible, God talks about how when we go through great trials, when we go through the sea, when we go through the fire, when we go through the earthquake, when we go through the wind, whatever it is, God says, I will go through it with you. He doesn't say you're going to go into the fire and not come out. He doesn't say you're going to drive off the edge of the cliff. He says, I'm going to part the waters ahead of you, and we're going to go through the waters together. We're going to go through this storm together. That's what Paul's getting at here. Friend, whatever you're going through, God says it this way. God did it so that you would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him. Nobody gets to go through life with it all being easy. But when it's hard, you have to figure out that you're not alone. Now, we're getting kind of close to the end of Mind Change March here. We're going to get ready to go to Action April. And I've got a self-brain surgery tip for you. I didn't mean to have that long-winded little spiel there. It wasn't planned, because I'm bringing you a self-brain surgery tip, number 26. What labels do you have in your mind when you think, I am blank? Now, remember, remove any negative ones and try again. I am loved, forgiven, and chosen by God. 1 Thessalonians 1:4 says, we know, brothers and sisters, loved by God, that he has chosen you. So here's the thing, self-brain surgery tip number 26. What labels do you have in your mind, friend, when you think, I am blank? I am what? We have lots of labels from the enemy. We give him a seat at our table, and he sits down and he says, hey, you're a loser. You're unfaithful. You're a cheater. You're an alcoholic. You tell lies. You're overweight. You're whatever. He fills in these blanks for us. You've done this thing, so you can never be okay again, right? We give him that seat at our table and let him preach that stuff to us. But God says, hey, hang on a second. This is my table. I prepared this table for you. Now, let me give you some labels, friend. Remove those negative ones and listen to what God says. I am loved. I am forgiven. I am chosen by God. 1 Thessalonians 1:4. We know, brothers and sisters, loved by God, that he has chosen you. Last Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2021, I released an episode called Get Right. And it's that there's three things, as I talk about, and we're going to cover them all, getting ready to go into Action April. There's three things you have to do if you want to get things squared away and start today and get after what it is that God has really in store for you. If you really want to know why he has you in the place where he has you and what you're all about, there's three things you got to do. You got to get right about who you are. And that involves getting rid of these labels and getting the right ideas about who you really are. So get right about who you are. We did this on February 21st, 2021. I'm going to give you that back now. I just clipped right into to getting after it part without all the preamble. And there's a song by Hillsong called Who You Say I Am. And it's just this exact idea. It's I am chosen, I am loved, I'm not forsaken, I'm called, I am who you say I am. And friend, if you want to get after it, if you want to really change your mind and change your life, you got to get right about who you are. And so I'm going to give you that episode back. We're going to play Hillsong's song at the end of that. It's just one of those outpatient surgery, self-brain surgery tip ideas, just to get the labels out and get the right ones in your head about who you really are. So there's 3 things I said. We got to get right about who you are. You got to get real about what you want. You got to get real about what you want. We always say, I want to get in shape, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. I want to save money. I want to improve my relationships. I want to do X, Y, Z. We don't really want to, though, because we don't do anything to make it happen. We just get to the end of the day and say, oh, man, I meant to do this today. Well, if you really want to do it, you got to get real about what you want. And then you have to, the third thing, you have to get clear about how to get there. So strip away all the stuff that you say you want. Figure out what you really want, what God's calling you to. Get right about who you are. Get real about what you really want, what God wants for you. And then get clear about how to get there. That's what we're going to get done going into Action April. And it's going to change everything. Okay? So self-brain surgery tip number 26, get rid of those negative labels. Let God tell you who you are. Here's the episode from last year, get right about who you are. We're going to follow that with Hillsong's song, Who You Say I Am. And all I need you to do, besides go to the prayer wall, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer, and go to the newsletter, wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter. The only other thing, besides getting right, real, and clear, my friend, is to start today. There are 3 things that we must have if we're going to get a good understanding of how to get a hold of our own future. Of course, self-brain surgery, the whole idea is changing those thought patterns that hinder and hold us back and keep us from becoming everything we really can be in God's eyes, and to grab onto His plan for our lives and take this wild ride known as fulfilling our destiny. So the idea is that you got to get right about who you are and where you've been, and real about what you want and what God wants, and clear about the path forward to get there. So today, this is a quick outpatient surgery just designed to get your eyes clear about who you are and where you've been. That's the first step. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to get right about who you are, because that is so crucially important in terms of getting hold of your own future. So we're going to get right about who we are, and we're going to start today. Hey, so glad to have you listening today. I'm Dr. Lee Warren. I live in Nebraska in the United States of America with my beautiful and brilliant wife, Lisa Warren, and the super pups, Harvey and Lewis. I'm a neurosurgeon and an author, and I'm here to help you harness neuroscience, the power of your brain, faith, the power of your spirit, and good old common sense to help you lead a healthier, better, happier life. Listen, friend, you can't change your life until you change your mind, and I'm here to help you learn the art of self-brain surgery. To get that done, you can get the show notes and more on my website at wleewarrenmd.com. If you like the show, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you need prayer, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer is the place to go for all of that. Pray for people in the community. Put your own prayer requests up there, either anonymously or for public consumption. And we would love to hear from you about what you would like to pray about. Also, wleewarrenmd.com/support if you feel led to support this work. And if you like the show, subscribe to the newsletter, wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter. Hey, I'm Dr. Lee Warren. This is my podcast to help you change your mind so we can change our lives. So let's get after it. Okay. So again, this is outpatient surgery. This is a quick idea, but it is so crucial to help understand who you are. You've got to get right about who you are and where you've been in your life. Listen, life brings a bunch of labels. It brings a bunch of baggage onto us. We get labeled. I'm bad. I'm fat. I'm lazy. I'm divorced. I'm an underachiever. I'm poor. I don't make good decisions. I'm unlovable. All those things, these labels that life sticks on us. We allow life, the enemy, and other people to stick labels on us. We allow past circumstances, past behaviors, past failures to label us. But the truth is, this is a crucial truth you must accept and apply to your life. The truth is, nobody can define you except your Creator, and you do not have to accept any labels other than the ones He placed on you. We're going to get back into that in a second, but understand this. It is important to be real and to be honest about your history. Just like when I take a medical history in the office, you really do need to acknowledge, yes, I'm an addict. Yes, I sinned in this way, or yes, I failed in that way, or yes, I was irresponsible in my first marriage, or whatever. All those things. Yeah, be honest with yourself, because you can't move forward if you're not honest about the past. But don't accept a label that you are. Maybe you did embezzle, but that doesn't mean you are a thief if you have been forgiven and you've changed, right? Don't accept the label. You don't have to accept the label, adulterer, failure, addict, whatever. You don't have to. God can define you. God will and has defined you in his own eyes. Lisa and I have talked a lot about, there's a beautiful song from Hillsong called Who You Say I Am that I used in an email to Lisa one time when she was struggling with some of this identity stuff. And the song basically says, I am who you say I am. I'm not defined by anybody but you. And they list all these things from Scripture. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. All that kind of stuff in the song. It's brilliant and beautiful. So let me just minister over you for a second, friend. When you're dealing with labels, don't forget you are chosen, Ephesians 1:4, not forsaken, Deuteronomy 31:6. You are who God says you are. He is for you. He's not against you, Romans 8:31. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, Psalm 139:14. You have been set free by the Son of God, and thus you are free indeed, John 8:36. You are strong, filled with resurrection power, Romans 8:11. You are greatly loved, you are noticed, and he has taken note of your life and even collected all your tears in a bottle, Psalm 56:8. So anytime you doubt, friend, just remember, the one who defined you gets to name you. The one who created you gets to label you, and he labels you as chosen, perfect, beloved, strong, free, not forsaken. That's who he says you are. He also has prepared a place for you, John 14, and you are who he says you are, and you can do all things through him who gives you strength, Philippians 4:13. That's the label you need to accept on your life. So yes, be honest about your history. Yes, look back in time. Yes, acknowledge what you've done and where you've been. And also let that be amazing when God has changed you of those things, from those things, delivered you from those things, set you free from those things. If you get right about who you are, you can start celebrating how God has brought you into that identity, right? You can live free of labels that are not yours to wear. And by understanding who you are, that you are chosen and set apart and beloved and empowered and forgiven and free and have a future and a hope that he wants to prosper you and not to harm you. And you can get rid of all that negativity and all those labels that the enemy and other people in your own experience, and sometimes we're our own worst enemy, we're our own worst label maker. You can set yourself free of all of that stuff, and you can be right about who you are. And my friend, getting right about who you are will be the first step in changing your brain, changing the way you think, changing how you understand reality, so that you can then start really understanding what you want and getting clear about how to get there, because those are the three foundational pieces to beginning to change our mind so we can change our lives. But before we can do any of that stuff, we have to start today. Hey, thanks for listening. The Dr. Lee Warren podcast is brought to you by I've Seen the End of You, a neurosurgeon's look at faith, doubt, and the things we think we know. Available from Waterbrook, Penguin Random House, everywhere books are sold, and soon to be in the Italian language as well. Don't forget to support your local booksellers. Hey, you can subscribe to the show. You can subscribe to the newsletter, wle1md.com/newsletter. On the website, wle1md.com, you can get all the information about my show, my letter, the podcast, the books, everything. The theme music currently is Blue Highway by Poddington Bear via freemusicarchive.org. We're thinking about changing that, and if you want to weigh in and let me know what you think, hit me up at wle1md.com/survey, wle1md.com/survey. Hey, all of us need prayer. And if you have something you want this big, wonderful, global community to pray about, please go to wleewarrenmd.com/prayer, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer. You can put a prayer request there. You can pray for other people there. It's a wonderful way to interact with this community through the power of prayer, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer. And if you feel led to support this work and help it grow and spread further around the world, you can go to wleewarrenmd.com/support. Remember, friend, you can't change your life until you change your mind. I'm Dr. Lee Warren. I'll talk to you soon. God bless you, and have a great day.
Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in, his love for me. Free at last, he has ransomed me, his grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me, his grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, he's free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Yes, I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. Yes, I